Well, Mark, we basically find ourselves in the same position as last week, but another game gone. Now just a couple to go. How's it been in training over the past few days?
Yeah, it's kind of press repeat on last week's press conference, isn't it? Been good. The players have been good. We're, I think, really looking forward to the game. I think the fact that it's tomorrow is good because it just comes around faster. You always want, when you've got big games, I think you like the momentum of the games coming around quite quickly. So for it to be taking place tomorrow is a good thing. But we've had a couple of good days on the grass. Nothing over the top, nothing major. Just getting the players really, to be honest, fresh. So that we can go into the game full of the energy and intensity that makes us a good side, but also knowing that that's exactly what Harrogate are, not only from seeing them in recent weeks, but also in the game in the fog back in January, where we saw the same kind of intensity in them. We need to make sure that we are ready for that on what looks like a difficult playing surface and everything else. We have to be ready to match their endeavour and find a better level for us than we did last week.
How big a achievement is it for Harrogate to be so comfortably clear of the bottom at this stage? I would guess at the start of the season, being new to the Football League for the first time, that would have been their aim. And yeah, they're miles off the bottom. Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, they'd be best placed to talk about. They've had continued success over a long period of time there, and I'm sure that like we know, having been there ourselves, when you come out of the National League, you don't want to go back there because it's such a hard league to get out of. Firstly. So your immediate aim is to retain your Football League status, which they have done. But the record of teams that come out of that league is quite good to stay up in that first season. So they probably followed a pattern where you've got the momentum of last season that's taken them into this. They strengthened well in January, and they've had a really consistent, really solid season. I'm sure they'll be pleased to have done that, but also be mindful of the fact that they don't want to slow down the progress that they've made. So similar to lots of us in that respect, they'll no doubt be happy. They've got a cup final to look forward to on Monday off the back of last season's FA Trophy. So again, another good way for them to finish the season. I'm sure they're pleased with the progress that they've made, but we want to make sure they're no better off after Friday's game.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one that they've got the trophy final from last season. Now they're a league club. Inevitable, I suppose, they'll have one eye on that game, more than a potential distraction. Of course, it will be on their minds.
Well, potentially, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's in terms of game days, it's no different from playing Saturday, Tuesday. Obviously, they play Concord Rangers. We're fairly in the loop of that process because Lewis Simper is on loan at Concord, and what a brilliant end to the season for him. He'll get to play at Wembley on Monday, so we wish him well. And I'm sure it'll be a nice focus for both of those clubs. But from our perspective, I mean, if we spend our time trying to think what mindset they're in, this game's about us. That's literally the only focus for us. This is about us, a massive opportunity for us to go and take a prize. And we've got to show up and deliver the best performance we can to give ourselves the best chance of doing that.
Presumably, in the grand scheme of things, there wasn't too much about last weekend to really worry you. It was just a case of cracking on this week. Yeah,
I mean, I think we've shown fairly consistently that worry isn't a word that enters our vocabulary too often. So, of course, the performance wasn't the level that we'd like it to have been. And the 2 away days probably in the build-up to that took their toll quite a bit with the pressure that was around those games. So the performance wasn't what we hoped for. It was a very scrappy, fairly even game that probably could have gone either way or could have just been a bit of a ball draw, really. So disappointing that we didn't come out with that because that point might have been crucial for us. But that's gone. That's gone quite a long time ago now for us. We're focused on getting the team ready, getting the squad ready to go and give a really good account of ourselves on Friday and to try and approach the game with the same kind of energy and intensity that we have done. And if you look at our last 2 away games, there's been a real combination of styles and skills required. When you go to Newport, the qualities that we needed there to grind out that result and the quality that we played with at Leyton Orient as well. Very similar players have delivered 2 kinds of styles, and there'll probably be a combination of all of that needed at Harrogate on Friday.
Yeah, with the away form, we haven't really spoken about it, but there was that period in the late autumn into Christmas where you were struggling a bit on the road. Your away form since then has been sensational. It's been a really big part of what you've done.
Yeah, it has. I don't particularly put it down to anything in particular. That period of time we're talking about, I think we lost 5 in 8. So we were losing games home and away. And since then, our form in 2021 has been outstanding. So I don't necessarily put it down to just away games. I think it's been across pretty much all of our performances. We've ground out some results. We've had some big wins against some good sides. And we've shown, I think, this year in the number of wins that we've had, that we can win in lots of different ways. And we'll need to dig deep into that sort of library of skills and experiences on Friday to find a way of getting a positive result in that game. But certainly we can go into it confident. We know how tricky this game's going to be. We know how tricky the surface is up there, and the way in which Harrogate play is a very, very in-your-face, aggressive style. So we have to do the basics very well, because they'll make us defend our box and defend around our box. We're going to have to be good in those moments, but we're going to have to make sure we bring a bit of quality to the game as well. I think it's a game that we're all looking forward to. With
the team news, is it still much the same situation?
Yeah, we're in the same situation as last week. Everybody's been out on the grass this week, so we've got the same group of players to choose from. So the 18-man squad will be the same as it was last weekend.
Now, I don't know whether this is like trying to get you to pick between your children, but Wes and Paul both up for the League Two Player of the Season award. We've all been discussing which way we'd go. Do you have a preference? Would you be able to say?
I don't know if I have a preference. I think the fact that we've got 2 players out of a shortlist of 3 for that award speaks volumes for their quality and the impact they've had on our team, but also just for what we're doing and what we've done so far. I think that would be very rare that's been a shortlist of 3 and 2 have come from the same club. I think Norwich have got it this year, but it's probably quite rare that happens. So it's a moment that we as a club should be proud of, and the players should be proud of. And whoever wins it, fair play. But we know that the value of those players has been great. One of them will go into tomorrow with a nice bit of confidence off the back of that tonight, and we'll see which one it is, and if either of them. But yeah, I'd expect one of those boys to be lifting that trophy tonight.
And just a quick word on Ben Warman as well, because people might be looking at this and thinking, hang on, it's the final week of the season. What's the logic of sending him out on loan? But actually at National League level, he's going to get, 8 or 9 games?
Yeah, I mean, he's played a National League game on Tuesday night, played 75 minutes. That's the best level he's played at so far. So it's very good for him, played in a 1-0 win. In a year that I've spoken about a number of times for these young professionals, it's very, very challenging at the minute. The number of games they've played has been so limited. You have the option of him being available. It wasn't in the squad last weekend, so being in the squad is one thing, but he needs to play games, and he's got an opportunity to go and play 9 games at a level he's not played at before. That'll be a really good end to the season for him, to give him some real momentum going into next season, and to give him a run of games that he's been starved of this year because he's been so limited with everything that's gone on. So we hope that will be really valuable for him, as it has been for Andy, and the fact that they're there together is good. Obviously, Lewis Simper's doing similar down at Concord. They've had 6 friendly games in the build-up for the final, so he's finishing the season with a strong run of games. And a couple of the other younger boys that are here next year have been out with a few non-league clubs recently in view of securing loans for next season, Conference South. So it's something we're trying to get ahead of the game with, and try and make sure that their development that has suffered this year, without a doubt, can be best served in the remaining weeks of the season. And as you say, the National League's in a very, very silly, strange situation compared to everybody else. So there's a lot of football left to be played there.
Cool, that's great.
Yeah, that's all good from me. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, likewise, all good, Mark. Thank you.
Hi, Mark. Firstly, wanted to ask about Harvey Nibbs. You're saying he's not available for tomorrow. Is he going to be out for the rest of the season, essentially?
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't trained for a long while, so it's unlikely that he'd be fit for the last league game next week. Depends how long our season is, really. He should be out running today on the grass, so that will be good because he's made good progress in the gym, and today will be his first day running. So hopefully we start to see that build up. The important thing for him is that he ends the season fit and injury free, so that he can have a really good off season going into pre-season. But obviously, if that involves some training and game time, then terrific. But we're certainly not pushing that at the risk of him sort of breaking down again when we are so close to the end. So he's made good progress in the last couple of weeks, and hopefully if he can get the next few days on the grass running, we'll see how that responds and see when and if he'd be available to go back into training.
With Harrogate having that FA Trophy final on Monday, do you realistically expect that they would be full strength for tomorrow, or do you expect changes?
Yeah, I do. I think they will. They've been very, very consistent in the last 4 or 5 games with their selection. They've got probably 5 or 6 options of players that could come in the team. So they could make changes. But because the game is the equivalent of Saturday, Tuesday, I don't think the time frame's too much for players to go into the game off the back of one. So we're planning and preparing that they play similarly to how they have been in terms of the players that have been playing. Maybe they'll make 1 or 2 changes, I don't know. But from our perspective, I don't see them changing the team to go into this game and almost save themselves for that game. I'm sure they'll want to finish the league season strongly and want to give us a really good game tomorrow. So, yeah, we don't expect too many changes from them.
It's widely expected that a point will be enough for your side tomorrow. Does that change your approach in any way ahead of this one?
No, it doesn't. We play to win. We want to go and win the game. We want to go and race over the line if we can. We've spoken about that in recent weeks. We've got to go and attack the game. We've got to go and understand how difficult the game is, learn from last week. But yeah, the ifs, buts and maybes probably hasn't dragged us down recently. You know, when you're so close to the line, you can be tempted to fall into that trap. But I think really importantly for us, we've just got to focus on our job. Parties and smoke bombs aren't our job. That's everybody else's. We've got to turn up, play well, play at the level we know we're capable. And if we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance of taking points from the game. And look, we want to play for maximum points. That's the mentality this team's played with all year. I think that's shown with we've lost a very similar number of games to a lot of teams in the top half of the table, more than some. But it's the number of wins that have got us where we are. Draws haven't really been something we've played for. We've been grateful for them sometimes, and certainly if we get one, we won't turn our nose up at it. But at the same time, we play to win, and we want to go and attack games.
We've spoken about resilience an awful lot this season. How important is that for you to be able to rely on more than ever tomorrow?
I don't think more than ever. I think we've been a resilient team all the time. I think all we just have to do is go and play well, and we're more than capable of doing it. So the week to freshen ourselves up after a really busy week, and the opportunity that lies in front of us isn't one that comes along very often for us, for players, for staff, for coaches. So it's there. It's there if we want it. If we want to go and chase it, we've got to go for it. We've got to absolutely go for it. So that isn't about resilience. That isn't about fear. That's just about going and attacking something and going after something that we've worked on our socks off for this season. And we've got to go and do the same again tomorrow.
Just to round off as well, it's been mentioned this week that Greg Taylor's notched up his 350th appearance. How impressed have you been with him, not just in terms of his on-the-pitch contribution, but in terms of leading the team as well?
Yeah, I think firstly that the numbers superb. You see that rarely, I think, now, and to see it in probably 2 hours, the longevity that Harrison and Greg have had has been outstanding, and the impact that they have on our environment is really important. And I believe that to build a culture and to build a way of being, you need people in the building and around your club and around your team that understand what the place is about. And they've been huge setting that bar to people. I think Greg's performances have been very good. He's played in a very changed back four throughout the season. A number of times he's had to adjust and help other people through, and that's not just him that's done that, but others have done that as well. But he certainly led that really well. And the bit that people don't see, the people see the bit on the pitch. They don't see the training ground environment. They don't see the dressing room. They don't see how people speak and behave around the training ground, how people train, the standards that get set. They don't see the atmosphere in the changing room. The coach's role's overrated in the dressing room pre-game. When you get to a point as a coach where you stand back and let your players take control and run the show and motivate each other and find the intensity levels that you need. We've got to do that again now. We've got to do that again. We've got to keep doing it. But Greg's been a major part of that. He's led the team superbly well on and off the pitch throughout the year. And and I'm really, really pleased with his contribution among many others this year. But certainly to hit the number of games that he has over the 8 years that he's been here is excellent. And I think his season's been very good, and he needs to finish it off now with a real strong few weeks.